Okay, so for the second video, I'm going to talk about XED, which stands for cross elasticity of demand. Right, so let's start with the definition first. So like what I mentioned to you, elasticity is about measuring how demand changes when a certain variable change. So in the case of cross elasticity, X stands for cross. So cross means that it's the price of another good that's changing. Okay, so start with the definition. So this refers, price XED refers to the degree of responsiveness of demand of a good to a change in price of a related good or another good. Yeah. Then of course, ceteris paribus. Okay, because there's a couple of things to watch out. So first thing you want to watch out is this is demand. So the reason why it's demand is because you could be careful. So it's because it's the price. Yes, it's price, but it's of a related good. So it's not of the good itself. If it's of a related good, then you use the term demand, right? Because that's a non-price determinant, right? Non-price being not the price of the good itself. So the first thing you got to take note is demand. It's not quantity demanded. Second thing you got to take note is just this lah. So I mentioned to you for YED, a lot of people leave this out. So you don't want to leave this out. Okay. Okay. So second thing you talk about usually is the formula. So formula wise, it's percentage change in demand of a good, let's say A, with reference to a percentage change in the price of good B, right? Okay, so if you take you do the math, then basically the values can exist on number line. So it can be either positive or negative, right? So if it's positive, it's a substitute. If it's negative, it's a complement. Okay, so let's talk about why is it like that. So if it's a substitute, right? When let's say the price of one good changes, let's say it goes up. So if it goes up, then this bottom denominator is positive lah, right? So if the price of that good goes up and then people buy more of the other good, that means that good must be a substitute, right? So if price of B goes up, people buy less of B and they buy more of A, it means that B must be a substitute of A. So one good example is let's say you buy, I don't know, let's say you buy the price of Calbee potato chips goes up, right? Then you buy less of Calbee potato chips, right? And if you buy less of Calbee potato chips, maybe you buy more of maybe Lay's or Ruffles, right? So if the price of Calbee potato chips goes up, the denominator is a positive number. And then the demand for Lay's will go up, which means the top is also positive. And so you can see if it's Lay's versus Calbee, then both numbers are positive. If both numbers are positive, clearly Lay's and Calbee is substitute. So therefore, if it's positive, it's substitute, right? Then you think about it the other way around. So if let's say the price of Lay's goes up, so Lay's is now here positive. Then let's say you consume Lay's together with some Pepsi, right? So then when you buy less Lay's, you also buy less Pepsi because you usually have your chips together with a soda. Then this value becomes negative if the red color one stands for Pepsi lah. Right? So you can see that if two goods are consumed together, when the price of one good goes up, the demand for the other also goes. The demand for the other will go down because both goods are consumed together. So necessarily, when you consume less of the green color one, you consume less of the red color one. Okay, so when the value is negative, it's complement. If the value is positive, it's a substitute. Okay, so that's the first layer, which is the sign. The first thing you'll take note of is the sign. Second thing you'll take note of is the magnitude, right? Which is magnitude means you take the modulus of the value lah. Okay, so in terms of taking the modulus, there are two categorizations that we have. It's either more than 1 or less than 1. Okay, so this is the case where XED is positive and its magnitude is more than 1, this case. And so if this is the case, then it's a strong substitute. And if it's between 0 and 1, so this is XED more than 1 and XED is positive. right? So if it's positive and more than 1, it's a strong substitute. If it's positive and sort of between 0 and 1, then it's a weak substitute. Weak or close. Oh, so weak or weak or strong lah. Okay, so if it's a weak substitute, okay. So what's the rationale behind this strong versus weak? So strong substitute. Let's say you have a change, increase in price of, let's say, I don't know, let's say a price of Samsung phones, right? Then people are gonna switch from Samsung to either Apple or, let's say, Xiaomi, right? So when the price of Samsung phone increases, definitely more people are going to buy Apple phones and more people are going to buy Xiaomi phones lah, right? But because maybe you can say Samsung and Xiaomi, they share the same operating system, right? They use Android. So maybe the demand for Xiaomi will be much more responsive, right? So you can see that when two goods are very, very close substitutes, the price of one increases causes a more than proportionate increase in the demand for strong substitutes and a less than proportionate increase in demand for weaker substitutes. And you apply the same logic also, then you have weak complements here, and then here you have strong complements. Okay, so maybe before that, the difference between what exactly is a complement? Complements are basically goods that are consumed together. So like what I mentioned, Pepsi and chips, maybe you consume them together. If you buy the PS5, you also need a PS5 game, so they are consumed together as well. Alright, so maybe if you buy the Apple phone, then you want to buy the iCloud. You want to subscribe to the iCloud service also. Yeah, so they're complements. They're kind of consumed together. Okay. One thing I want to take note: complements with an E. Okay. Not an I. So not I. Okay. E. Okay. E means the complement means it's synergy. Okay. I is I'm praising somebody, so it's not I. Okay, it's an E. So you don't mess up the spelling as well. Okay. Then next thing you want to know is the application of XED. Sorry, I should use this. Application. Alright, so application, there are a couple of applications. One is that you can see how the price change of one good affects the P, Q, or TR of another good. Right, so this is okay. Actually, in fact, this is essay. I should put it in blue. This is essay question 1B. Okay, so if you look at your tutorial essay question 1B, this is sort of how you'll be tested lah. How the price change in one good affects the market for the other. The other one is application to firms. This is in section 7.1 of your lecture notes. You want to see a sample question, you can just see the previous. Oh, sorry, I should show you the question. So the question is, discuss the usefulness of elasticity concepts, one of which will be XED. Yeah, one of which, okay, there's YED and other stuff. So discuss the usefulness of elasticity concepts to a travel agency in Singapore, for example. So they ask you to apply. This is a 15-mark essay question, right? This is a school exam paper. Okay, it's not from Cambridge. So yeah, so application to firms. This will be one question that tests you on application for firms. You want to know how to answer. The content comes from section 7.1. Of course, you can wait. Eventually, when we give you answer keys, you will see how to answer these kind of questions. Okay, but just to give you exposure onto how what the questions will sound like. Okay, more questions. So I have two questions here. Okay, so if you want, you can pause the video to copy the question. Okay, I'll leave it to you. Okay, so first one, this is an example of questions that test you on XED. So this question says, state the economic concept that you will use to measure the relationship between the change in the price of SSB. So SSBs are is in the case material, but it's sugar sweetened beverages. So these are like your Coke, Pepsi, and soft drinks. So when the price of these sugar sweetened beverages change, apparently it results in a change in the demand for bottled water. So you can see that this is good A, and then bottled water is good B. So the concept you should use is XED lah. Okay, this is Cambridge. Okay. Then they ask you to explain the value you expect to get from this measurement. So you must know that of course the value could be either positive or negative, and then the value could be more than 1 or less than 1, right? So yeah, so not more than 1, less than 1. Let's just say that more than 1 or between 0 and 1. Okay, so clearly you either consume bottled water or you consume Coke. So they are clearly substitutes. So you gotta tell me that, oh, they are substitutes, more than 0, and the magnitude is more than 1 or less than 1, whichever you decide based on the case material. Okay, then of course you got to know the factors lah. The factors is that it's, if it's a strong substitute, it's more than 1. If it's a weak substitute, then it's between 0 and 1. Okay, so that's that. So you can pause and copy that. Okay, I won't pause for you. Okay, so the next one is the green color question, right? So the question says, using the information from extract 2. So this is what I took out from extract 2. Okay, extract 2 was really long, so I had to cut. Right, so using the information from extract 2, calculate and interpret the cross elasticity of demand in Japan between Australian chilled beef and US chilled beef. So this is relationship number 1. And then Australian chilled beef and chilled beef from the rest of the world. This is relationship number 2. So clearly these are different goods. So this is good A, this is good B, and then this is good C. So you need to find out the relationship between A and B and A and C. Right, and this is cross elasticity of demand. So because you need to calculate, you actually need to give a numerical value. So you need to know, hey, oh yeah, I got to apply the formula. Then you just apply the formula. Okay, these values are given in the case material lah. Okay, so you surprise, it's here. Okay, so then you need to calculate the value. I'm not gonna give you an answer. You can go figure yourself. Anyway, eventually when you get TYS, you have access to all these questions and answers lah. Okay, so this is just a brief rundown of like a summary of XED as well as the questions that you can be tested on.